Friendship, for example, is a real gift.
It's an insane world. In it there is one sanity, the loyalty of old friends.
You're the best friends anybody ever had.
Alone, bad, friend, good.
Bubba was my best good friend. I had to make sure that he was okay.
Friendship and family, these are the things that matter.
Can we just become best friends?
Yep.
Touch my friends again and I'll believe you. Thanks, Mike. You're my best friend here.
Lose one friend, lose all friends, lose yourself.
We ride together, we die together. Bad boys for life.
That's what friends are for, right?
Friends? Louis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
If you're not over here in 15 minutes, you can find a new best friend. You've been saying that since the 5th grade.
Cheers.
Cheers.
This is a little flimsy ass cup. Oh, it's actually pretty good. What are you doing? Drinking all of it?
No.
I'm going to start it with this. So if anybody who's just listening doesn't know what's going on, but if you're watching, you can see that I am sipping on wine. Sam is drowning in it.
Yeah, I should have grabbed 2 bottles. Yeah, you know, makes me have opinions on things, red wine.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love red wine. It's my favorite. Sparkling is interesting. It's cold.
Yeah, it's a backpack temp. It's been in my backpack for like an hour now.
Welcome to the I'm Your Friend podcast. I am your host, Aiden Licker. Thank you so much for tuning in. Our guest today is our friend Sam Minney, local comedy sensation. Did you like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll keep that one. But not going to be local for too much longer.
3 weeks.
3 weeks, moving to Austin, Texas, to be just like her hero, Joe Rogan.
I sun my balls every day.
Yeah.
I brought my Blue Chew and MeUndies today.
Yeah, perfect. I don't have any sponsors yet.
Well, we'll get there.
We'll get there. Hopefully that'll start, you know.
It should be sponsored by this at this point.
This podcast is brought to you by Lombruso, Amelia, some Italian words, San Antonio, product of Italy, but it's a San Antonio.
Yeah, San Antonio is known as Little Italy, so.
I've heard that. I've heard that about San Antonio.
It's just a part of Texas.
Yeah. So, moving to Austin, also just got back from the gathering of the Juggalos.
Yes.
Which I thought, every time you brought that up to me that that's what you were going to do, I thought that was a joke. And then I saw your Instagram story for the whole weekend.
I got back yesterday, so everyone I've spoken to in the last 48 hours, they're like, oh, you were on vacation. And then, like, they would remember and it would click in their brain, like, you were at the fucking gathering. And everyone out, like, it was 50-50. Half the people said the same thing, like, you were serious about that? Like, yeah, it felt like it was a 4-day fever dream of honestly great people. If you've ever been in a 7-Eleven after 2 a.m., that's the culture.
Yeah, I was going to say full stop. Don't explain anything further. I know what we're going for here.
Yeah. I'm still like mentally processing a lot of it. It's like people, like if they approached you in a parking lot late at night, you'd be like, fuck off, but they're all in the same place. And then they turn out to be the nicest people who honestly
judge a book by its clown makeup.
I was the only person there with all of my teeth, so I can confidently say.
Where was it?
Ohio.
Okay, that makes
the
sense.
Armpit of America.
I was gonna guess Kentucky, but pretty close.
It should be in Detroit.
Is that where they're from?
You're thinking Eminem. No, I don't know.
Well, I know Eminem's from there. I just don't know where they're from.
It would make sense if they were from
Let's
there.
look it up. Go on with what you were saying.
The last one my dad went to was in 2003. And when I was like, why is this in Ohio? It's because every other venue they've ever played, they've been asked to not come back or have been banned from.
Yeah. I know specifically they are banned from the Town Ballroom in Buffalo because they were told they couldn't use, what's the soda? Faygo. They told them they couldn't use that. They had to use sugar-free because or else it was going to be like impossible to clean because of like all the sugar.
They do have Diet Faygo.
Right. But they were like, we're not sellouts.
Yeah.
we're going full Fago, and then also sprayed it all over the production manager of the town ballroom when he told him not to.
Oh, yeah, so
they're banned from there. They're also from Detroit, by the way, confirmed.
All right, I
So,
should
just
know
like
that.
Eminem.
Just like Eminem. Yeah. The first day of the fest, I had driven overnight Tuesday to get to Ohio because I don't want to see Ohio during the daylight.
Respect.
So I drove overnight Tuesday. I got there at 7 a.m. Wednesday morning, and then I thought I could just live off of like 4 hours of sleep. I could not.
Yeah, I do that every day.
And so first day, there wasn't really anything going on that I cared about, so it wasn't like we weren't missing much. I did see Sir Mix-a-Lot, Slick Rick. They had...
Slick Rick?
Yeah.
Was that the gathering?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, Sir Mix-a-Lot is also insane, but Slick Rick in terms
Sir
of
Mix-a-Lot sounded fucking great.
I believe it. That like makes sense, but Slick Rick is like a legend, like an actual like respected hip hop legend.
I don't know if we'll be back together.
Yeah.
Someone threw something on stage, and they were like, "Hey, can you not?" And Juggalos, being Juggalos,
right,
just started throwing their entire inventory at the stage.
That adds up. That also seems like. Did you watch the either of the Woodstock '99 documentaries that are out? I've heard about them. So one came out on HBO a while ago, and I watched that one. But apparently, one just came out on Netflix as well. And I didn't watch that one, but it sounds like it's basically the same thing. Do you know anything about Woodstock '99?
Is that when they tried to bring it back and it flopped? There was like multiple attempts to bring it back.
Yeah. So Woodstock '99 was like the last one they had, and for a reason, because it was just like absolute insanity of people just throwing shit on stage and starting shit on fire, and they ran out of water, and there was a bunch of like sexual assaults that happened, and people died, and it was a whole thing. 103.3 The Edge was there promoting the event because it was in Woodstock, which is apparently 103.3 reaches out there. Or actually, I don't even think it was it might have been in Elmira or something. It was like they weren't able to do it at the original spot, but I don't know. That's what you're telling me. It seems like something that like those types of people would attend, the throwing on stage and things of that nature.
I remember one of the comics that was just at Healing like a few months ago was like telling a story of the gathering on stage where they were throwing around like human feces.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of nervous going into it. My dad texted me ahead of time being like, bring clothes you don't care about.
Right.
And I was like, what? Because this is a thing that happens every year, but he hasn't gone since 2003. So I'm like, it's 20 years later, basically. These are like new Juggalos.
Right. So, well, that reminds me. The only thing I know about the gathering is from that Workaholics episode where they go to the gathering. And there's one Always Sunny episode where when they like go to Charlie starts working as a janitor at a high school, and one of the kids is a juggalo who's getting bullied, so Charlie like befriends him. So that's literally all I know about it. And there is the scene in Workaholics when Adam picks up human poop, and he doesn't realize that's what's going on. So
I was very nervous to lay in the grass.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I wouldn't. That sounds so scary to me. Like the entire thing sounds terrifying. As someone who is the way that I am, being just like anxious and scared of everything, just seems like a bad time for me.
I'll just summarize events that stuck out to me.
Sure. Let's do that.
There was a Superhuman stunt show on, I think it was Friday.
Okay.
And the tent was packed, and immediately like me and my dad are trying to like find somewhere where we can like actually see the stage, like what's going on. The first thing that we were able to catch was they were going to shoot this guy point blank in the dick with a potato gun.
Let's go.
Gun didn't work. Perfect. So luckily they had
That's convenient for that guy.
They had a weed whacker on hand.
Oh, good.
So they weed whacked his dick.
Okay.
They kept setting his hair on fire, and then they actually do have safety standards. So they're like, hey, we have to take the rest of this outside.
This was all indoors.
Well, it was under a big tent.
Okay.
It was like one of the stages, but it was where they would like have like seminars, podcasts, like. stuff like that.
They have seminars and podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
I thought this was just like, how many days is it?
It was 4, which is too many. Too many.
I was thinking 2.
I missed the first day, it was still too much.
I was thinking 2 days, and I was thinking it was just 2 nights of the Insane Clown Posse performing, and that's it. There's other acts, respected acts.
It would start at 12 p.m. and go until 4 a.m. every single day. And
they had seminars. Who are these people? Like, who are the...
So it's everyone that's on, like, that record label. So,
okay.
A lot of that, and then, like, obviously, like, Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Was Hobson there?
No.
I feel like he's part of that.
And pull up the lineup. If I read all these names, it just sounds like horrible SoundCloud rapper names.
I'm not gonna look it up. I was gonna look it up, but I don't care. It's Slick Rick intrigues me enough to check the rest, but I feel like he's an outlier of the lineup for sure.
No, yeah. When I tell you the most recognizable names,
sure.
Sir Mix-a-Lot, Slick Rick. That's about as far as we get.
Yeah.
So. The wristbands, okay, let me start there. The wristbands were for an event that took place in 2014. They did not actually check your wristbands at the gate. The gate was one guy.
How many people go to this?
How many people were in attendance?
Yeah. Any idea?
If I had to guess, I don't even know how big Legend Valley is. That's like that's where they have Lost Lands, like. Which
is like an EDM fest, right?
Yeah. So I have to imagine at least like.
I have to look all this up.
A decent of thousands of people.
Gathering.
But since there's people camping and they can't really verify that, they also, like, they didn't check wristbands. They only did bag checks after, like, 9 p.m. But you could just walk in there with, like, cases of beer. They don't bat an eye.
That's actually sick.
Yeah.
That should be at every festival. You should be able to do that.
Yeah. There was a gas station like right by the entrance. So I told myself I wasn't going to drink at all throughout this. But after like 1.5 days, I was like, I need to be a little bit buzzed right now to be around these people because they're doing everything imaginable.
Unbelievable. It has been at so many cities, which makes sense. The original was in Michigan, and then it has not been in Michigan since the original.
That makes sense.
Ohio, Illinois, Illinois, Ohio, Oklahoma, Indiana, Ohio.
Oklahoma.
That's a good one. All right.
But they had like medic carts and there was
That's good.
Some police presence. Every 2 steps, there's whippets everywhere.
Yeah. Just the little cans on the ground.
Because I don't do drugs, so it took me like a while into the fest to realize like I don't have to turn around every single time.
No, when you say you don't do drugs,
yeah,
you mean like beyond weed?
I don't even really smoke weed that often.
I thought you did.
I did probably like 5 years ago, and then up until like recently. Yeah, I went like a while without smoking weed.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. No.
Anyway, go on.
My dad's like 18 years sober, so it was very fun being at this fest where he's like super jacked to be there, and everyone's just like, we're walking by and they're like, what do you want? And just like,
yeah,
we have an assortment, and he's like looking at me, and I was like,
that's every festival. I wouldn't judge the Juggalos too hard on that. I mean, Whippets might be exclusive, but when I went to Firefly Music Festival and it's like everybody like walks by your tent and it's like, got acid, got mushrooms.
But that's how like much I don't do drugs is the first full day we were there, the second day of the festival, people were just like walking around with balloons. I was like, Juggalos love helium.
Yeah. Yeah. That would have been my thought as well.
And then it finally like registered in my brain. I was like,
yeah,
you're an idiot.
Yeah.
I was like, they're clowns. That's why they're walking.
Yeah, right. That's actually very clever on their part. I don't know if it's on purpose, but it seems like it's just a good canister to hold their nitrous or whatever. But
so security minimal. But it was until the third day, the stunt show, where they're like, all right, we have to move this outside because they don't want us wrecking this giant tent. and we're also gonna run this guy over with a car. And so everyone moves from the tent, gets set up to watch this dude get hit by a car. I'm like, I'm so ready. I'm like, this is gonna be insane.
Sure.
I'm like looking at my dad like, we're gonna witness like a real medical emergency today. And as soon as they get the car backed up enough and all of like the crowd out of the way and just the guy set up, the cops pull up.
And stops running. So this stuntman thing was like a planned event as part of the festival.
No coordination.
Okay.
No communication, no coordination. Also, the night of that day, the third night, again, 4-day fest, third night of the festival, there's only one place that serves liquor and then another tent that sells like boozy ICP brand drinks. Like if you want to buy alcohol there and not have to go to the store, like you have to buy it from some rando with a cooler. But so I went over to the boozy tent and she's like, we just got shut down. They didn't have a liquor license the entire time.
Insane, dude. Insane.
I was like, dude, there's 1 day left.
Is this in a part of Ohio that seems civilized? Like, is there a town that has things around it, or are you in the middle of nowhere?
It was a 20-minute drive from where we were staying, which was Zanesville, Ohio. But so when I got in that morning, I slept until like the afternoon. My dad went out to go eat and stuff, and he came back and he was just like, honestly, I can't tell who's here for the gathering or who just lives here. Like,
right.
Yeah. That's
Checks
where we
out.
were.
So was this your dad's idea?
My dad's been a juggalo.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where.
Do you want to go into that further at all, or you want to just leave that at that?
Yeah, no, that's feels safe.
Sure. Okay, respect. That's fucking nuts. Do you know how much tickets were? How much a pass was, like a 4-day pass?
He bought them before the lineup was even posted, so I'm sure they were cheaper.
He's the early bird. Got the early bird sale to go to the gathering.
But on the ticket tent that they had set up, if you were buying passes, it was like $220.
Okay.
Not horrible.
Not horrible. I mean, you can't charge too expensive. I can't imagine these people come from a lot of money who are going to this. Yeah. Also, I looked it up. 7,000 attendees.
7,000?
Yeah.
It just felt like the same 5 people copy and pasted.
Right.
A million times.
Well, I think that's like a legit thing. Not to go crazy deep theory on you, but they say there's something like there's only like
so many sets of genetics
of unique faces. Like there's something like there's only like 7 unique faces or something that like, and everybody falls into like some category of those.
Well, no one looks like me, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what you say. We'll see. We'll have to, I'm sure. Well, anybody watching the video podcast will have to just comment who you're. Nobody's ever compared you to anybody. I feel like you kind of look like Anna Faris. That's my first guess.
I get Imogen Poots.
What is that?
That one bitch.
The one bitch. Imogen Poots?
Imogen Poots.
Imogen is her first name?
Imogen.
Imogen?
Imogen.
I don't know what's happening anymore.
This bitch. I'll let you scroll.
Oh, I can see that. Oh, yeah, totally. What is she
Someone
from?
tried,
Yeah, I can see that.
I honestly don't know. I've seen movies with her in it, and I can't think of a single one right now.
28 weeks later. The Jimi Hendrix biopic. She's in a lot of biopics. Okay. I've never seen any of these movies, but I feel like I've seen her face before. She was in a movie with Jesse Eisenberg. That's something.
That's the one I saw.
Vivarium?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that movie would be better. It was not.
I feel like that's the case for every Jesse Eisenberg movie.
I would still die. Well, no, Zombieland.
You got me there. Zombieland is fire.
I'm a Zombieland fanatic.
Zombieland is a fire movie. 30 minutes or less. I thought that movie was good with him and Aziz Ansari.
And it's him and what's that one about the KGB?
I have no idea.
Fuck. All right.
Social Network is a good one.
It's gonna make me mad. I'm looking.
I've never seen a movie about the KGB,
He's
but I'd be interested in
38.
it.
Oh my god. Oh, and he's in Now You See Me. Also, I love that. Yeah, that movie's great.
I don't. Well, I mean, I watched it once, and it was good enough that they made a second one. But I don't think I don't think the second one was that good, if I remember correctly.
Honestly, Now You See Me came out 10 years ago, and I was 14. So
was that 10 years ago? American
Ultra with Kristen Stewart.
That was a movie about the KGB.
He was like a sleeper cell.
Okay, I remember that movie coming out. I never watched it though. This is good.
I mean, it's not great. It's entertaining if you want to watch
and
Jesse Eisenberg and
right. So that's kind of the
Kristen
point I was
Stewart
getting at.
fucking.
That's
just action movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to like Kristen Stewart. I don't have anything against her. She seems interesting.
The whole Twilight franchise and everyone involved.
That hurt a lot of people's careers. I think her specifically, and also our Pats. And I love our Pats.
He's doing great though. Like he was just great. Batman.
Yeah.
She on the other hand got so roasted for like just playing the part, and everyone's like, she can't act. She's so awkward on screen. Blah blah blah. It's like that's literally her.
Right. My thing was like when the Batman got announced that Robert Pattinson was going to be playing Batman. You know, everybody was like, the Twilight guy is going to be playing what Michael Keaton and Christian Bale were. I don't think so.
And he was the sexiest Batman.
He was the best. Yeah, sexiest hands down. And he was also an amazing Bruce Wayne, amazing Batman. I love that movie. I love him so much. I've talked about it on the pod before.
If Hollywood could just keep booking him to just stand in corners looking sad and mysterious.
Yeah. Did you ever see Good Time?
What is that?
It's a movie that the Safdie brothers made. You know, Josh Safdie, who made Uncut Gems.
Uncut Gems?
Uncut Gems.
Gems? No, I didn't watch that movie.
You know what I'm referring to when I say it like that, or no?
No.
Who was that girl? Kanye's ex. What was her name? Not Kim Kardashian. The one after her. The crazy Julia Fox.
Oh yeah.
And she's on that podcast talking about.
All I know about her is her crazy wacky outfits.
She's a crazy wacky lady. But she dated Ben Safdie of the Safdie brothers, who made Uncut Gems, and on a podcast she referred to it as Uncut Gems. She had like a stroke in her face, and it was hilarious. Anyway, the Safdie brothers, who made Uncut Gems, also made a movie called Good Time with Robert Pattinson, and it's really fucking good.
All right, if we're going to start talking about movies, I need to admit I've seen 10 movies in my life.
What are they?
Fox and the Hound.
Okay.
Fox and the Hound 2.
All right, perfect. We're on a good stretch. Both good movies. Did they make a second one, or was that a joke?
Yeah, they did.
Okay. I've probably seen it. I remember the first one when I used to watch it as a kid a lot. I remember the VHS exactly what it looked like.
I once was locked in a room with my best friend. We weren't actually locked in the room. We just spent like a week of summer vacation watching Donnie Darko.
One of my favorites.
Great movie.
Yeah. I used to have a giant Donnie Darko poster.
I went to the anniversary screening at North Park.
I was there as well. The 4K remaster.
Yep.
It's fired the director's cut as well. The best one, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have that on Blu-ray, the director's cut.
Same.
Yeah.
I got the steelbook. I'll show you it after. I don't have the poster. You got me there.
Yeah, I got the poster.
I had a poster when I was in college, but I moved it. I moved all 4 years of college. I lived in a different place, so I had to move it so many times. And it wasn't in a frame or anything, so it just got beat to shit. But I had it for a long time.
And then the rest of my movies, just name an A24 movie. Probably seen it.
Good Time.
No.
A24 movie with Robert Pattinson. What's the other? There's a The Lighthouse.
Yeah, dude.
Fire movie, dude. Fire movie.
It took me so long to get through that movie.
Yeah. I've watched it more times than anybody should have probably watched it. But I was so infatuated with it.
I would die for both of those men.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. It was one of those movies that I was like, it's so strange and it's so bizarre, and I don't understand what's happening, but I can't stop thinking about it. And that's what I love about those stupid fucking indie movies. They just stay on my mind, and I think about them all the time. I think that's what they set out to do. Yeah.
I mean, I will admit, the first time I watched Hereditary, I hated it.
Really?
Hated it.
Damn, as soon as that... Spoiler alert for anybody who has never seen Hereditary. I'll give you a second. As soon as that bitch's head came off, I was like, yo, this movie is next level.
I saw it in theaters with my dad and my grandpa, and...
That's crazy. Well, I guess not. Yeah, I mean, you went to the Juggalos with your dad, so...
Yeah.
I get his vibe.
I will also say maybe it wasn't horrible upon the first time watching. I was also super hungover.
That'll ruin any movie. I would never ever want to watch a horror movie hungover. I don't know why.
It felt like the perfect, because I love scary movies.
Yeah.
It's a dark, cold room, and I'm just munching popcorn.
You got me there.
So
that's 3 for 3.
I'm in my reclining seat snacking.
Yeah.
I don't have to look at anything. Well, I do, but like it's not bright.
Yeah.
But yeah, I walked out of theaters and my dad was just like, "Oh, what did you think?" I was like, "I fucking hated it."
Damn.
And then I went back and rewatched it like months later, and I was like, "Great movie."
Yeah.
Great.
I love when that happens.
Same with Midsummer. We went as like a work group to that. We missed the initial screenings, but then when it got re-released with the director's cut, that's when we went. And the only seats
the director's cut's awesome.
The only seats we could get all together, it was like we were like 3 rows back.
Where'd they show the director's cut?
I mean, we only went to like Regal at.
They showed them at
mall.
Regal?
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't know that. I didn't know the director's cut was ever in theaters.
It was for like.
I got the Blu-ray of that
weeks.
too. The director's cut of Midsummer.
Yeah, it was like 3 hours or something.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with that movie as well. Ari Aster, that dude rules. That director who did Hereditary, Midsummer. He's got a new one coming out soon, I believe, with Joaquin Phoenix, if I remember correctly.
I will say, I did just see Nope.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet, but how is it?
Not impressed.
Really? You're the first person I've heard to say that. I mean, most people, I haven't seen anybody be like, it's this groundbreaking. Like, most people were like, it was pretty good.
I was entertained.
Yeah. But it was a very hyped up movie.
It was one of those movies where you walk away like, oh.
Okay.
I had a good time.
Sure. I mean, that's fine for me.
It doesn't
what's funny?
Do anything else other than that.
I had a thought today while listening to another podcast where they were talking about movies about how, like, we are so, in this day and age, like, we are so morphed, I guess, into, like, rejecting any sort of mediocrity because of like rating systems, right? Like because of like Rotten Tomatoes and just like IMDb ratings, like anything that's below like an 85 is like I won't give the time of day.
Old?
It depends.
Did you watch Old?
No, the M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Yeah.
No, is it worth watching? Like for the entertainment value?
I don't even have to look.
I know the Rotten
Tomatoes rating for it has to be below 20%.
See, those movies I'll watch.
Favorite movie to come out in the last year?
I will not watch anything like between like 50 and 85. But 85 and above or like 50 and below I'll watch.
Well, yeah.
Because there's like a reverse effect that happens once it gets below a certain threshold. Like, and the perfect example of that is The Room.
I was going to say.
Like, The Room is one of my favorite movies ever. And it's one of the worst movies ever. But that's why.
It's the best
because
comedy.
It's so bad that it's the worst, like... And because it's not set out to be funny. Actually, so coming up, I'm heading down to Hilton Head, South Carolina for a family vacation next week. And the first time I ever watched The Room was when we went to Hilton Head 4 or 5 years ago. And the James Franco movie, The Disaster Artist, had just gotten announced. And I knew what The Room was, but I had never watched it. And then I saw this movie get announced. I was like, all right, now I have to watch this movie so that I can go see The Disaster Artist. So me and my brothers in Hilton Head watched it for the first time. And we watched it like 3 nights in a row while we were down there because we just wanted everybody else to see it. We were like, we have to watch it again tonight. And then we just kept talking about it the whole vacation. So it's a tradition that every year in Hilton Head that we go there, we watch The Room together as a family affair. So it's great.
One of my earliest, when I first started doing comedy in Buffalo, one of the first like comedy hangouts I went to was when Disaster Artist first hit theaters. We did a double feature. So we all went over to this one guy's house. We watched The Room. We played The Room drinking game.
Nice.
Which is
a lot.
Just, I mean, there's like three sentences of dialogue that just get repeated over and over.
Yeah.
So you have to drink for all of those. Some guy was actually drinking scotchgas, like.
That sounds terrible.
And so we did that for the pregame, and then we went to go see Disaster Artist right after that, and we all just packed little bottles.
Yeah.
We were still playing the drinking game for Disaster Artist. Best fucking day ever.
Yeah, The Disaster Artist was sick too. I really enjoyed that movie.
Well, also I just Dave Franco was in it.
Do you love Dave Franco?
I
love Dave Franco too.
I wish he was in more.
I always have. So I think I'm like, part of me thinks I'm like a little bit autistic because I have like these weird tics that I have where like if there's ever like a dull in a conversation or I get bored, there's like a series of questions that I ask people, and one of them is, did OJ did it? Or do you think OJ did it? Is like the first one I usually go to. And then sometimes I have some obsession with the Franco brothers, but it's more just like their names just sound so nice and they
James Franco, Dave Franco.
They just like roll off the tongue. So I just like have this weird thing where I love saying their names. So like another thing is I say, do you think James Franco will ever work again? And then the other one is like, who do you think is the better Franco brother, Dave or James? And I'm a strong Dave guy.
Oh yeah, 100%.
After I was at a wedding on Saturday, and after the wedding, it was at the Hotel Lafayette, and we went up to there was an after party in like one of the suites that they got for the wedding, and Neighbors just happened to be on, and it was a really enjoyable experience after the wedding to just sit in the hotel room and watch Neighbors and see Dave Franco.
Yeah, James Franco, I feel like his whole thing happened right before like cancel culture got really like serious about cutting people off, but he still kind of doesn't do anything.
I haven't seen him in anything. I mean, I know Seth Rogen said he won't work with him again.
Yeah, I mean, well, Seth Rogen is fucking making the sickest pottery.
Dude, I am obsessed with him. He's so sick.
Great guy.
And he's so raw, you know what I mean? Like so authentic.
But also if you look at like James Franco's like acting history, like
kind of legendary.
Great, but like the role you had to see it coming a little bit.
Go on that.
That he like was like messaging underage girls and shit. Wasn't that what he got canceled for?
Yeah. Well, no. So he got canceled because he was teaching classes at NYU. He was teaching acting classes at NYU, and he was like sleeping with all of the women that he was teaching.
I don't know why.
It gets into like the power of control kind of thing. Like you're in a position of power because you're the teacher, and I think he was like, I don't know this for sure, but I believe if I remember correctly, there was something on like passing them through the class because of that. They got special treatment in class, and that whole thing. So
classic.
Yeah. Historically speaking, yes, that is classic.
It is a go-to move.
Yeah.
I did see a funny thing, like, being like ages like 14 to 16 at a concert, being like, I'm too young to sleep with my favorite artist.
Right.
Fast forward, I was actually within their age range.
Yeah, that's exactly what they were looking for. Yeah.
Time.
It is funny, dude. The idea of like, I don't want to say I think about this a lot because that'd be weird, but I notice it. In like going back, because I'm a person who likes going, like I'm obsessed with the 90s and just like the early 2000s and that era, and probably just because of like my childhood and probably some sort of like traumatic reason, but I just love that era of pop culture. And when I go back and watch things, it's so crazy how like normal it was to like sexualize like teenage girls. Like it was so normal. Like I mean, there's that iconic line from, is it Dazed and Confused with Matthew McConaughey, where he's
I've seen 10 movies.
Okay, so you've never seen Dazed and Confused?
No. Any classic?
It's a good watch. It's a good watch. I have a Letterboxd list, which is the most hipstery thing I've ever said on this podcast, I think. But I have a Letterboxd list that is classics unwatched, and it's all like every like classic that people claim like you have to see or is a must watch that I've never seen before. But Dazed and Confused is not on there because I've seen that. But Dazed and Confused, there's a line that Matthew McConaughey says where he says, "High school girls, I keep getting older and they stay the same age." And that's like a beloved line of that movie. And it's super creepy. Same thing, there's an episode of Seinfeld where there's like they're trying to pitch a show to like NBC or something, like Jerry's trying to write a show and pitch it to a network, but he's got this 15-year-old daughter that Jerry and George think is hot, and they like talk about it the whole episode, and it was just totally normal. And and Jerry Seinfeld also dated like a teenager for a while, and Joel Madden from Good Charlotte dated Hilary Duff when she was like 16. And when they were like a public relationship, and like nobody cared. And it's just very strange to think about.
I always I felt good about the fact that majority of the bands I listen to and still do, like, none of them got canceled.
Almost all the ones I did, which makes me very terrified of who I am as a person.
So, okay, well, Sorority Noise, lost them.
Yeah, they were great.
Brand new.
Ugh, I have a brand new tattoo.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got it before pre-cancel.
The one that surprised me it took so long was All Time Low.
Yeah, and they're still fully just like, no, we're not canceled.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. That's the point.
Like, it was public knowledge that Jack was dating a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
And he's just like,
the whole story that did finally, like, crack a little bit was, like, crazy.
Oh, yeah, that one girl. I read that, the Twitter
like, he just,
thread.
like, fully groomed. Yeah. Absolutely. I read the whole thing. It was crazy, dude. And what's even crazier is that, like, if that would have happened, like, at the same time as the brand new thing would have happened, they would have been done.
Yeah.
But there's just this thing now that it's like gone on for too long, and I think they've recognized that if your fan base is big enough people will still like you and not care about that or ignore it.
Well, they were going to that thread was completely anonymous, I believe.
But very
they
detailed.
were pursuing, like, legal action against them.
Yeah.
And then I haven't followed it at all. Because honestly, after Don't Panic, I don't care about anything they put out.
Oh, okay.
After that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the first, like,
So
3 records are all that matter to me. Yeah.
I saw them at Town Ballroom when they were here.
That was, like, right before.
Yeah, literally.
It was, like, days before.
I even had, like, the sound check thing, like, where you got to go and, like, Q&A or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, literally 2 days before that whole thing dropped. I was like, it would have been crazy.
Right.
Because they kept, like, looking around.
And they
like,
fully were in the middle
there.
of a tour. Fully in the middle of a tour. Didn't cancel any shows. Just kept going.
And that's the crazy thing is big bands like that will just be like, talk to our lawyers.
They're just no, we don't.
But then, like, these smaller bands and lineups, like headliners, like if a support act gets called out for something, immediately drops.
Yeah, drops from the tour or whatever.
Gone.
And, I mean, the thing was, everybody who was on that All Time Low tour dropped.
Yeah.
Tour.
Who was on it again?
I don't remember. But I remember they all dropped.
One of them was, like, familiar.
I knew who one of them were.
But yeah, no, they were like, fuck these guys.
Yeah.
We're starting our own
There's
tour.
fully,
starting
dude,
today.
there's a lot of bands.
The fact that they booked, like, a follow-up dates, being like, we're not touring with them. Immediately, we have this set up.
Yo, they did, like, yeah.
They moved quick.
It was actually sick.
Like, they were waiting for it.
That, like, all the supporting bands literally dropped and then did their own tour together, like the 3 other bands that were on it. It was pretty sweet, honestly, from that perspective of it is pretty sick. But yeah, man, it's weird. It's just weird. It makes me think about just, like, how much the timing matters, because, like, the brand new thing, first of all, feels very minuscule in comparison to the All Time Low thing. And I feel like they were bands of, like, the same level. I mean, All Time Low probably a little bit bigger, but I mean, brand new still had, like, MTV play. Like, they had, like, the same amount of press and everything.
I'm having so many thoughts, because I just remember, because they started, they had 2 tours back to back, where the one was they announced that they were going to, like, break up, and I saw them, like, 3 times during that span. I don't know if they did, like, 2 separate tours or whatever, but then when I saw them at Riot Fest, they were still, like, they had the flag in the background.
With, like, the cross, that looked like a dick,
and then they were going to do their final farewell, like, science fiction tour. And then right before that is when it all went down. And so, like, a part of me, I was just like, fair enough.
I think they're
like, why do you have to be so shitty? Like,
I think their response hurt them more than anything else. Like, I think, like, you know, the accusation came out, and then Jesse Lacey made this weird fucking statement on Facebook. Put out a weird fucking statement on Facebook. I just talked about how he did, like, the Chris D'Elia thing, but lost his career. Chris D'Elia kept his. But did the whole thing. I'm just like, oh, I'm a sex addict and, like, all this shit, whatever. And then people were like, dude, that was a weird way to not address that you got accused of pedophilia. Like, he just, like, skipped over it entirely. And I think that's what fucked them more than anything. Where, honestly, if they would have taken the All Time Low route, they probably would still be doing it.
You have 3 options.
Yeah.
Well, that's always my favorite thing when like a YouTuber gets like canceled or whatever. It's like deflect, ignore it, or just like and do it again immediately.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's like own up to it.
But even the people that own up to shit, like no one's ever happy.
No.
There's always going to be people, like, even if you sit down realistically, but even then, that's still, like, if you make, like, a public apology, it still just feels, like, not genuine.
Right, totally, yeah. Because it's, like, you knew this the whole time.
You fuck up once, and you're in the public eye, and then you're like, all right.
I think the only person...
Truth, coming clean. This, that, like...
I mean, outside of, like, spanning beyond sexual assault or anything surrounding that... Like, beyond that, like, I think the only person I've ever seen make it through scot-free was Ryan Reynolds when, which he didn't get called out for it. He, like, owned up to it before he could get called out for it, was that he, like, they got married on a plantation. Oh, yeah. And, like, they, like, posed in pictures in front of these, like, slave huts or whatever. And, like, he, like, straight up was like, hey, I realized, like, didn't get called out for it. Just jumped on it first before they could call him out for it.
But it was a great deal of venue.
Yeah, I mean, it looked gorgeous. I don't know. But...
I mean, all of the lands are a little bit bloody here.
That's
so,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great point. But yeah, he's the only person I saw that, like, everybody was like, all right, I mean, you're Ryan Reynolds. Everybody loves you, you know? So, but yeah, very weird thing. I think timing has a lot to do with it. The response has a lot to do. I mean, I think another good thing to look at is Moose Blood. Were you ever into that band at all?
Yeah.
I loved that band.
I only liked like 3 of their songs. They do still come up on like their
first
Spotify
2 records were
playlist. Fire. But every time it's like one of those things where I have to remind myself like what happened to them.
Right.
I will say I have the most cursed image of me at the waiting room with front porch step.
Oh no.
Like 3 years before all that shit came out.
Yeah. That one sucked too because I loved that one song, you know? He had that one song, the Rain song.
Yeah.
That song was fire. And I used to like listen to it all the time, and now, yeah, it pops in my head every once in a while.
He was opening for someone. I just like I liked. I think at that time he only had that one album out.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh.
Well, I don't think he had that much of a career before, and he was like canceled prior.
And then
to
people
Me
started
Too.
Boycotting Warped Tour because that's when everyone started like realizing like, oh, all of these bands are predators, and they're booking them, and they gave him security.
He got canceled in what, like 2015 or
Forever,
something, right? Yeah, I was gonna say it was like way.
Occasionally on TikTok,
he was ahead of the game.
I'll scroll around and like someone will use his song as an audio, and I'm just reminded of his existence.
Yeah.
But. So he just didn't do anything for a while, and then he just became hardcore religious, and now he just makes like Christian music.
Yeah, I think I knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is another
and he gets
route.
shit talked on the internet a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is another route. Yeah, Christians.
If you fuck up, just
yeah, as long as you keep
I love
the baby.
Jesus now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I care.
Like, we all make mistakes.
Yeah, I found
it's like,
God.
well, you don't have to try to fuck a 15-year-old in your old age of 28. I don't know. Start there. That's not a slip. I don't understand why people are like, I've made mistakes in the past. It's like, it's so easy not to do.
Right.
So easy not to do.
Yeah, it's really super easy not to fuck a teenager. Yeah.
It's never even happened on accident to me. Like,
that's true. Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know where to go from that. No, but the Moose Blood thing I think is funny because, not funny, interesting. Because they, like, the drummer got canceled first, and so they booted out the drummer. But what was funny is, like, the drummer's kind of the glue of that band, and he was fucking sick at his instrument, not as a person.
Did that happen with Neck Deep, or did their drummer leave for something else?
So I just played a show with Neck Deep, and I didn't know that drummer was gone until we got to the show. And I, like, saw
I can't remember what
them
he
sound
did,
checking,
but
and
they
I was like,
literally
that's
just,
not
like,
that.
cut him out. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. I feel like I did hear something maybe, but I wasn't absolutely sure. But I remember. I mean,
now we're just like gossiping about bands.
Yeah,
like,
good. Fuck it. That's what this is for. Nobody listens to this. Doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't know. When we played that show, I like walked in and I noticed the drummer was different, and I was like, oh, that's not the same drummer. And then, but of course, that's immediately where my head went, and I was like, oh, I wonder if he got canceled. Who knows? But yeah, so the Moose Blood guy gets kicked out, and then like, so they kick him out, and then they're like in the clear, and then like accusations come out about the singer, and it's like, well, you can't just kick out the singer.
Poor
you know?
Dance Gavin Dance.
What happened with Dance Gavin Dance?
So one of the members passed away, and then I think it was the singer got canceled like a month later.
Oh shit!
Like
recently? Yeah. I saw them pre-pandemic. So was this?
No, like within the last couple months. This
damn! Really
happened? Yeah.
Damn, I didn't know that. I didn't even hear about that.
They're not even a band like I'm that invested in, but
yeah,
I like
neither am I. I saw them.
I followed them, but
with...
I remember they posted like a member passed away.
Yeah.
And everyone was just like they had a few tour dates left. I think they filled the spot just to finish the tour, and they had like an album coming out, and then I think the singer got canceled.
That's crazy.
And
I didn't know that. Yeah, I'm not invested in them either. I saw them 2019. They played with Under Oath at the Rapids Theater. And I watched them, and I was like, they were sick. And they unloaded off the front of the stage and through the front doors of Rapids Theater, which was the craziest thing I've ever seen. So they should have got canceled for that. Would have saved them a lot of hassle, I think.
Yeah, isn't Rapids Theater canceled?
Yeah, I don't remember why. Something with COVID, I think. He was like, the owner was like posting some shady shit on Facebook. Or maybe it was some racist stuff. I don't know. I think the owner of Rapids Theater, I don't know. That place wasn't great anyway.
I don't think I ever went to a show there.
What's a few? I saw the 1975 there, and they hated it. The band hated being there.
Actually, no, I did see All Time Low there forever ago.
Yeah, I remember. I remember them playing there.
They were like with water parks, and it doesn't matter. But
yeah, a day to remember. I remember.
Just bring back the waiting room.
Oh, please, dude! I miss the waiting room so much.
Do you remember when that ska band broke the floor in the second?
That ska band. It was Streetlight Manifesto.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's 3 of them, so I was gonna get it wrong.
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah. Streetlight. The pit was so crazy that the floor caved in. Yeah. Yeah. The waiting room was sick. R.I.P.
I have to start buying tickets for Austin shows now, which is pissing me off. So Turnstile did that tour.
Yeah.
First half of the year, played Austin.
Yeah, now they're playing Buffalo and you're going to be gone. Yeah. Yeah, I have tickets to that. I'm stoked.
Fucking hate you.
Austin should be cool, though. Let's get into that.
All right.
So, moving to Austin, you work for Helium Comedy Club now.
Yes.
And they have a club that they are opening. It's not open yet, correct?
It's been open.
Oh, it's been open. What's it called?
Cap City. So
Cap City, owned by Helium.
Cap City's been open forever. I feel it was like one of the staple clubs there. Helium bought it during COVID. It just opened 2 months ago. And initially, so I wanted to move out of Buffalo for like a few years now. And kind of landed on Austin just because like the comedy scene started growing there.
Yep.
Also, just like nice weather. I know it's like scorching hot most of the year, but yeah. I'm a tiny little gal. I don't retain heat.
I've only been to Austin once, and it was in
Oral
December,
friend, like
and
a
it was
piece
cool.
of bacon.
There you go. That's something to look forward to.
But yeah, so I wanted to move. Stuff just like never lined up, but I always like looked at Marketplace or Craigslist just to see like what the prices were like, because I know it's like the locals are pissed off that everyone's moving there because prices are like going way up.
Yeah, I mean I think that's happening in a lot of places.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
but that was my thing, is like looking at apartments just for me here and there. Like if I'm not gonna pay $1,200 to live alone in Buffalo.
Right.
I would pay that to live anywhere else.
Right. I agree.
So when I found this place, I was just like, all right, step 1. And it was a weird thing where they're like, well, we have like local people who are interested in this, so we're going to like show it to them first. If they don't want it, you're next in line. So I think 3 other people viewed the apartment, and then I literally did like a FaceTime walkthrough.
There are so many red flags and everything that you just said.
Well, so it's like a couple looking for a lease replacement. So they don't want to break their lease. They want someone to
take it over.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I did the FaceTime walkthrough with them. And I mean, the location is like right between downtown and where I'll be working. So I'm like, all right, apply, like go through the process of trying to get approved for the apartment because like 3 times rent, just credit score, like with the typical background shit.
Sure.
So that's
how's your credit?
My credit was like really good, and then I tanked it, and then I got it back up to a decent spot, and then I forgot it was a thing. It's decent.
Okay. I mean, enough. They got you the apartment, yeah?
Yeah.
Good for you. That's all that matters.
But looking at like my credit karma graph, it's just like you can tell when I'm not doing well. It's actually just like a depression tracker.
Yeah. That credit karma graph has a stranglehold over me. It's insane. Anytime it dips just like a little bit, I start sweating.
I got my credit. The lowest my credit was at one point was 520.
That's not as low as I thought you were gonna say.
It was low enough where I had to self-reflect and do better. Even though it's a fake number, and I really don't I don't use credit cards.
Doesn't it piss you off when you get that and you're like, I have this?
Yeah, it feels like a report card, like
right,
in a way.
For like existing,
but
as
it
an
doesn't
adult,
matter.
Yeah, but somehow it does, and that's the worst part of it. It shouldn't matter. It's the dumbest thing of all time, and we all have to abide by it. And it's all, you know what's crazy is it's like only existed for like 30 years.
It's just a number.
Yeah.
I have an app. They'll email me too. Like, I know I'm on a good stretch when I get an email. It's like, Samantha, your score has changed with like good emojis. And then when I know I'm fucking up, it's like, your score has been updated.
Yeah. It's just period. Yeah.
And it's just like, do I want? I don't.
Yeah, the
even
credit card
want
emails
to know.
are funny. They're always like, "Woo-hoo! Keep up! Look at that score go! On-time payments."
I don't even remember. I think it might have been like before, like when I started working 2 jobs when I first moved like down to like Elmwood Village and all that. I think I just went like crazy, stupid, silly, willy, went all vanilla. Like I just. You heard it here. I had no concept of money or like the amount of times I would look at my bank account and be like $10.
Right.
And then I would just be like, well, I'm 20 and I have an apartment, so I'm crushing it. But at the same time, it's like I wasn't paying any of my bills.
Yeah.
But then during COVID, I got it back up. I like paid everything off essentially. And yeah.
The last drop. Sorry, go ahead.
And I don't even know why. I think I set everything to auto pay, so I really don't know what's going on. What does piss me off, though, I will say, my car previous to this one, I paid it off sooner than I was supposed to and closed out that account.
And then your score dropped? Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah, it's so dumb.
I hate that.
That's the dumbest part of it. Of everything, like it's all dumb, but the dumbest part of it is that when you close an account, your credit score drops.
My mom did the smart thing. When I was like 16, she like put my name on the credit card that paid for like Netflix every month to build a credit history.
Yeah.
Like she did that for me, and then so my credit score went from like 720 to 520 within a year and a half.
Yeah.
As soon as I was let out on the streets.
There you go. That's fire.
Yeah.
When I was 18, I went to Fredonia and I got Discover had like a student credit card you could get. And I literally needed it because my books were more expensive. Like my books, I took out extra money in my student loans so I could afford my books, and that wasn't enough. So I was like, I don't have any money. So I needed to open a credit card so I could pay for these books. So I opened this credit card, paid for the books, paid it off. And then I was like, oh, this is easy. So then I started putting all my tattoos. I booked like an insane amount of tattoo appointments and then put them all on that credit card and then just like didn't pay it off. So my credit score dropped pretty rapidly, pretty quick for most of my college career. And then after college, I built that shit back up.
I don't have credit cards. I have 2 store cards.
Those are credit cards?
Well, but you can't use them for
okay
wacky random shit.
Sure, yeah.
So
what stores?
Best Buy and Amazon.
You can buy everything on Amazon.
Well, no. Okay, so I got that when, like, I don't like supporting Amazon. I had to buy
Respect.
one big thing, and I was like, I'll just finance it, so I got the card.
There you go. Same thing with Best Buy. That's why I have Best Buy too, so I can buy a fucking TV and not have to.
But the one actual credit card I have is a Forever 21 Visa credit card.
Fire.
And I once put an entire semester of college on it.
That's what's up. That's a good use of it, at least.
Yeah, I'm sure the interest rate's like 20%.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah.
And I paid off all of my credit cards like during COVID with COVID bucks.
There you go. Huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
And then the
that was
world
very
is,
responsible.
Well, the world is still ending to me.
Yeah, it
so,
is. You're not wrong.
All of my cards are maxed out again.
Good.
Immediately.
Good.
I was like, I paid them off.
Yeah, I just opened another credit card.
I don't pay my student loans and hospital bills.
Are all your student loans federal?
I think no. I still have. My one private loan was paid off, but I still think I have like 4,000 in private loans, and then the rest is federal.
But you're not paying the private ones either.
They're like low. They're like $50 a month.
Okay.
So I just have those to auto pay. They don't affect me at all.
So the federal ones you're not paying. I'm not paying my Fed either, but most of mine are private. That's where I get
service industry perks. I make no money, so I qualify for 0 monthly payments.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's in a corner in the closet.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has 0 monthly payments right now.
Pushed against the wall. Well, this was pre-COVID. I never paid on my
federals.
I was,
so similarly after college, I remember after graduating, I was bar backing and serving at 40 Thieves when it first opened. And I remember getting my first bill in the mail from Sally Mae, and it was for $900. And I called like their 800 service, and I'm like, hey, is there like an income driven plan for this? And they're like, no, these are private loans. You can do that for federal loans, which I did and got $0 monthly payments. But they're like, for this, there's really, they're like, why do you think you're not going to be able to pay it? And I'm like, because I'm a waiter, and I just graduated 6 months ago, and I'm still figuring my life out. And they were like,
what's your degree in?
Technically, business administration. I have 2 degrees. One is in business administration and one is in communications. What they really are music business and audio radio production, which are even more useless. But, I had a good time.
You had fun.
I had so much fun, and I learned a lot outside of the classroom.
I did
learned
not
a lot
have
of life
any
lessons,
fun.
And I made a lot of friends. And you can't put a price on friendship. Well, apparently you can. It's about $94,000.
No, I think my student loan debt's only at like 25, luckily. I made 3 attempts to go to college. I dropped out 3 times.
3 strikes, you're out. Did you go to 3 different colleges?
No, I went to Damon initially. I wanted to be a doctor at the time.
That's
I wanted to be
super funny.
Yeah, I wanted to be a physician assistant. However,
I can see you as a PA. Isn't that fucked up?
I worked in a nursing home for a while.
Yeah.
And you definitely need to just like, you need to have empathy for one. Like I loved all those people, but at the same time, you also had to be able to like take a step back and be like, this is insane. Like what this is.
Right. I could never handle that shit.
Also, my time there. So I started at one facility, just as a dietary aide. And then at the age of 19, applied for a kitchen supervisor. That was my first management role, and I got it. So I was 19 working at a 300-bed rehab facility for the elderly. And there was a guy who had been working there since 97, which is the year I was born. And I was like, I am technically in charge of you. Like,
right. Yeah, that's a weird thing.
The weirdest. But so I went from trying to become a doctor at Damon. They had scheduled my next semester class enrollment period during an exam I had. So by the time I got out, all of the classes that I needed
were
filled up.
Yeah, that's the worst.
And so I was just like, I am paying way too much money for this school to not be able to take required classes in my next semester. So I took a semester off. I transferred to UB. I did, I was just a biology major for a semester. Got through that fine, but I was still working full time, and it's like a lot. So I took another semester off to save up, went back for biology a second time, And then after that, I was like,
It's not for you.
it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Like, I got decent aid, but at the same time, just working full time with like the classes I was taking, I was like, this is not ever, like, I'm missing out on, like, I graduated high school when I was 17, so like that 3-year block, I'm like, I'm just working or in school right now.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to do that anymore. Like, it wasn't worth it to me. I was like, I'm just wasting years of my life.
Yeah. And I mean, going for biology seems like a similar thing that I was doing, which I was just like, I don't know what I want to do with my life, but I know I should go to college. So I guess
it was getting through prereqs to go through like a PA program.
Right.
So that was like the whole initial plan. And then, yeah, every single time I would be back for a full semester, I'm just like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Like, this shit sucks. I didn't make any friends in college other than like during when I was like fucking around. That's like when I met you and shit.
Right.
And just would visit other friends at their more fun schools.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, no, I'm just over here staring at numbers.
Yeah.
PEMDAS daily.
Yeah, that was, I mean, my whole thing with choosing Fredonia was like, if I was going to go, because I didn't want to go to school. Like, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an entertainer. Like, I wanted to play in a band or do whatever. I wanted to make movies. Like, I had all these ideas of just like anything but going to school. Like, I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a lawyer. I don't want to, be a teacher. Like, what I want to do doesn't require a college degree necessarily. And like, I don't think this is what I want to do. And my parents are like, well, you need a backup plan, And I'm like, well, then I'm going to fucking go. I'm going to make it count, Like, yeah. I'm going to go get the full college experience. I'm going to go away, quote unquote, even though it's, an hour, but go away to school and, and then took 2, I don't want to say easy majors, because they definitely required work, but like they weren't as hard as a lot of the other ones. And yeah, made a bunch of friends and partied my ass off and had a great fucking time. And it was sick until I got those payments that I had to start making.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of when I stopped working at the nursing home. But there was like an overlap where I was working there in school and then I had just started comedy.
Yeah.
And then
which is sick. And we haven't actually talked about you as a comedian at all, but I do want to acknowledge that you like started comedy very young, like for
19.
19 is super young to start comedy. Like, for the fact that most open mics happen in bars, you have to be at least 21. And like I feel like the average age of people starting, like I feel like I did get a late start at 27, but I feel like the average age of people starting is somewhere between like 23 and 25. So starting at 19 is fucking sweet.
2 weeks will be my 5 years of doing stand-up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, I initially started in going to Rochester open mics because I was like super anxious about it.
Yeah.
But then once there was like Buffalo people going to those mics, so I kind of like introduced myself to them, and then that's when I finally made the switch just back to Buffalo. But I did have to like niches if I wanted to do that. It took them like months of convincing them like to let me do the mic there.
Yeah.
But at that point the door guy knew me, so you just marked my hands. There's only one bartender. She knows me. Like, don't serve me. If you see me with a drink, like, kick me out. I'm a piece of shit. But yeah, Tudor, Milky's, those mics, like, it was never as big of a deal. It's like, yeah, I'm underage. I'm just gonna do this and leave.
The first time I went to Nietzsche's, I was 15, just so you know. And it was just to see it was a band I really liked, and I called ahead that day. I was like, listen, I'm 15. I was like, you can mark my hands. I promise I won't drink.
I remember the first time I did Milky's.
I just want to go watch this band. And they let me in.
The guy hosting, like, I like messaged him on Facebook, and I was like, hey, real quick, I'm 19. Can I still do this mic? And he's like, yeah, just don't try to order from the bar. Yeah. And I was like, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
But I was so anxious of like trying to go to mics and people like turning, like, I had a fake ID, but I didn't want to like that to be my start. Like,
yeah, going into where you're trying to get like respected and welcomed in, you don't want to be going to the fake ID. Yeah, totally. When did you start like getting on shows, and when did Helium come into it?
So I started August of 2017. I am immediately I don't want to say like immediately. I think my first show I got actually booked on was that December. Josh Potter came home and had a show at Milky's.
He did a show at Milky's?
Yeah.
Whoa.
When I first started comedy, though, like, definitely one of my biggest inspirations, like, were just, like, dark comics. Like, all of my early jokes were just, like, quick, dark, just...
Like Jesselnick style? Or
Yeah.
Yeah. He's one of the best.
Yeah. But, so that's how I started. I remember that show because my grandpa came to it.
Oh, my God.
And he didn't even hug me goodbye at the end of it.
For real?
Yeah. I don't even know how much time I did on that show. I didn't have much material. I wrote for a while before I actually started going to mics. Like,
of course, yeah. I think that's the move. I was writing for like years before going to mics.
So I got booked on that. I started going to open mics. I had applied to Helium a few times before, and it wasn't until I did like the first Helium open mic that they had, where finally they're like, "Oh, I just put 2 and 2 together, recognize your name, you've been coming to mics, like, do you want to work here?" So I started as a server in late January of 2018. So I started there January, and I mean, like, I've been there ever since. I'm still working with the company when I move. But yeah, it was crazy. Like, I never saw myself pursuing stand-up. It was just something I was into, started doing, and then just kind of everything started rolling from there. And like my whole life now is based on the fact that I started comedy at 19 one day.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, all of like my close friends, like I have very few friends now that are outside of comedy, outside of work.
It's crazy how quickly, like, even, I mean, I started in February and but I literally, so, you know, I remember having a conversation with you at Lockhouse in 2019, maybe 2018. I believe, actually, it might have been 20. I believe it was the Shitty Hawkins event, but I think it was 2018 at Lockhouse. I think it was the first one I ever went to. And you and I were having a drink out front, and it was like the first time I had seen you since I knew you started doing stand-up. And I remember talking to you about it and being like, I've always wanted to do stand-up, but like I don't know even like how that works or whatever. And I remember like you telling me going to open mics and things like that. So like, you know, I just had such a love for stand-up for my entire life. So like from then on, I just like followed everything you did, and just like not in like a stalkery way, but just like as a fan, as like an admirer of the art. So and then became friends with Zach Deach in like 2019, and like, you know, had conversations with him about it, and then had all these jokes, and like I had jokes written forever, and then I was finally like thinking about going up, and then the pandemic hit, and then, you know, I've been friends with Max forever, and then Max started going up in Spain, and I was talking to him about it, and I was like, all right, how many people, actually Max was the one who was finally like,
just do it.
He was like, dude, he was like, when I first went to, Max's story is when he first went to his first mic, his friend who was a comic he was with was like, you're either going up or you're not, man. Like, that's it. Like, that's literally it. So like, and that is all I needed to hear. So I started going to mics just to watch. I went to one, I think. I went to Good Bar to just watch Max do it.
Good Bar is the best mic, yeah.
I agree. And I went to Good Bar to watch Max do his thing, and I was like, oh, this is sick. And then, but I also was like, oh, I think I could do this. Like, realizing that it's not that it like crazy is like an open mic is not that hard to do. I mean, it is to get up there and get over that. But when you see other people do it who, like, you know, when I'm not to be like, oh, I think I'm funnier than them. You see horrible
people.
But yeah, you see somebody who does
someone fucking die
do terrible
on
with like the worst joke I've ever heard. And
but they
go
up with such a confidence.
Right. And it's like,
just like,
yeah. And the other thing is like, oh, I can't even talk shit because at least they got up there.
Yeah.
So then I think it was that following Tuesday, I went to Nietzsche's and I was like, I'm going up.
My first mic I ever did in Rochester, some guy asked if he's like, do you want this recorded? And I was like, I guess. And like looking back at it, I didn't know how to hold a microphone.
Yeah, I still don't.
I didn't know what to do with my other hand. The
Yep.
whole video is the microphone is too far from my face, and since I was anxious about being on stage, my other hand was holding onto the mic cord and just whipping it.
Yeah.
Like the entire time.
Yeah.
But I did three mics and started doing mics in Buffalo, and then I went to Chicago for Riot Fest, and I went to the Comedy Bar. They had an open mic, and so I signed up for that, and since I wasn't a regular, anyone they knew, they put me at the end of it, and one of the first few people that went up was Zach Deach.
Oh, no shit.
And he started set, like, initially he was just like, so I'm from Buffalo, New York, and then he got off stage, and I called him, and I was like, I'm from Buffalo, New York, and I do comedy.
Yeah.
Like a total fucking geek.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I don't know who the fuck you are. I was like, fair enough, I literally just started.
Right.
But yeah, that was like a surreal thing where I was just like, oh yeah, there's Buffalo people everywhere.
That is so true. There are Buffalo people everywhere. It's crazy.
Well, but like in comedy, we have like a couple decent people from here where it's just like, it's crazy what they're doing. So it could be one of us one day.
It could be. No, but it's been cool though, because I mean, going back to that point of like making friends in the comedy scene, it is funny that it like, and I mean, I'm such like a comedy nerd, you know what I mean? Where it's like every Monday when I'm at work, it's usually, I work from home, and it's usually a slow day on Mondays. I just have YouTube up, and I just it's like, you know, Tom and Bert, Sam and Mark, Santino and Bobby Lee, like I just go through all of them, and it's just like, and I just listen to what everybody has to say, and so I just like absorb everything they do like a sponge, and just became like such a nerd about comedy and everything.
That's the one thing where I listened to like all of the comedy podcasts pre-comedy, and like for like the first year and a half. Now I don't listen to a single podcast.
I feel like that makes sense. And just based on what I hear comics say of like, you know, like a lot of them don't watch stand up or don't listen to it because they don't want to like accidentally steal something, or like, you know, they're almost like too hypercritical of it or whatever. So that makes sense. But I mean, my thing was just like, before I started going up, but I knew I wanted to eventually go up. Like I just took like almost like mental notes off everything they said, learned the lingo, all that stuff. So it is weird how it's like almost like culty for comics, because it's like there is this like underlying thing that's like, oh yeah, we're all a bunch of fucking weirdos, and like we all have this weird bond regardless of where our egos stand. You know what I mean? Of like there's this underlying respect for doing it. That it is. I was going to mics almost every day, and I literally started in February because my depression got so bad from just being inside and doing nothing from like the winter months, that I was like, I need to do anything. Like I need a reason to go out during the week that's not just to go out and drink. So it was like, all right, I'm going to go do mics.
That is a reason to drink.
Right. Well, I mean, at least there's a funny part. There's something
there's enough
productive.
Sober comics where I'm like, how are you doing this?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just
now I'm at a place where I don't drink at every mic I go to, because I was doing that for a while, just because I like felt bad for the bartenders, because I was just like, you know, I'm like, we're the only ones in here, and like there's a lot of sober comics and stuff, so I was like, all right, well, I'll buy a beer, you know. But then it was like, all right, I need to stop drinking at every open mic I go to. But it is funny though, going from that scene, and I actually this was like one thing I did want to touch on with having you on, is because I think you and I are unique, and I guess Max falls into this too, of like knowing the comedy scene and also knowing like the pop punk emo hardcore scene. And
Jake Morrison.
And Jake Morrison falls into that as well. That there is this like, they're two very different things. And I spent so much time in the comedy scene from like February to like June. Like wasn't playing any shows. I like wasn't doing music at all. I was just very focused on comedy and was like obsessed with it, going to mics every night, just trying to get better, that I just got so used to being around comics. And then I went and played a couple hardcore shows, filled in for Spaced in Canada, and on like the first night I was like just talking about dicks, like just like not even like just like openly just talking about dicks to my friend Dan, and he's like looking around and like looking at me, and I'm like, what? And he's like, you're just out here just yelling about dicks, dude. He's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, it's fine. And then like it clicked, and I was like, oh, I am like not. I'm in a different. I have to like figure out the switch of like I'm in comedy mode right now, and I have to go into like like almost like a more sensitive. Realize that there's a more sensitive environment
that's what
around
happens.
me.
Like the reason why everyone in my life now is either from comedy or working at the club is that transitionary period of like still having my old friends and like what I was currently doing and pursuing was not to like shit on PC people, but it's just like when you're around like
Degenerates.
that environment all of the time, like
Yeah.
you start to like lose your filter.
Well, I mean, yeah,
and
I
then
don't-
you go back to hang out with your normal friends,
right.
And it's just like, oh, this is weird.
And I don't think that
I'm
makes you a bad person at all. It's just we
Yeah.
are all products of our environment.
Yeah.
When I was in Fredonia and I like hung out with all the radio kids and like the alt kids, like I was that like, oh, I'm super sensitive to language and I'm like gonna get offended by things easily and call you out for shit.
Yeah.
And then but then you start spending your time around a bunch of comics who like have no filter and like will say anything
and still
it's
are
like,
the best people.
right, and it
It's
still
like
doesn't necessarily
you can hear the worst sentence
Yeah.
from a human being and then still look at them and be like, I trust you with my life.
Right,
like,
yeah,
type
totally.
deal.
And it also did surprise me of like how welcoming the community is with like how like harsh a lot of things they might say are. Like they're still welcoming to everybody. Like they don't discriminate for any like surface level things. The only thing they're going to discriminate about is if you're an asshole. You know what I mean? And like
Don't be a piece of shit and just
Right.
try to be funny. You don't
Yeah.
even have to be funny. Just
yeah,
try to
be funny. Yeah.
If your heart's in it, everyone can recognize that and be like, well, they're here, they're showing up, they're putting in the effort.
Yeah. And I think I found such like a natural place within the comedy scene for that specific reason. Because I think a lot of the times like when I was in that scene of like trying to be like super PC and like as progressive and accepting as I can, like I feel like it was during a time when I was still figuring myself out, you know what I mean? And like trying to learn a lot about myself. And like, I just wanted to make sure I was being a good person, wasn't hurting anybody or whatever. And then, it kind of like it lined up perfectly for when I started doing comedy. It was a time that I'm like, okay, I know exactly who I am and the values that I stand for. And for that reason, want to try something new because I'm not as like insecure as I used to be. So like getting into comedy for that reason, it was just like the perfect storm of being like, oh no, you can do this and you can say these kinds of things but they're not necessarily coming from a hateful place, and you can still be a good person, still care about progressive things, but still be like kind of an asshole on stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so far out of that that when I started hanging out with like old friends because I'm moving, and just like seeing them again and how like they all interact versus like what. I was 19 and some of my best friends were people like in their mid 30s for all of this, like starting comedy so
Right.
young. It's just like
You
a
grow up
weird
quick.
thing. Yeah. Because I didn't have any of that prior to comedy. Like Northtowns, high school, college, and then suddenly I was just in comedy, and then I was spending all of my time in dive bars with middle-aged dudes pursuing comedy.
Yeah.
And then going back to my old friend groups, and they're just like very tame, very respectful, and it's like no one's gonna call anyone. All right, okay, weird.
Yeah.
Not what I'm used to. Like it's just like it comes
Right.
from a fun, like, I don't know, people that are just like over policing what you can and can't say.
Yeah, and I learn more now that those kinds of people are just like, they're just insecure. And
Yeah.
like they just like are just trying to find their place in the world and looking for a cause to get behind because it makes them like feel fulfilled in that way. So it's like I'm not gonna hate them for it. And
I'll vote for Bernie Sanders every year, but if I
That's what
say
I'm
a
saying.
slur, mind your business.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I just love the comedy scene for that reason, and it's just like been it's crazy to say this, but it has been like so good for my mental health. But I think it's just good, like it's just a good community, and it's just good people to be around, and it's fun to just have that like camaraderie of like, oh, okay, let's, it's the same people who were here last week, but now we have either a completely different audience or we have no audience. And it's like,
It's also been fun watching the scene grow. So
it's huge.
Pre-COVID, when I started comedy, like, we'll say there was like 15 regulars. Like, when I first started, there was like a the core group, people who are doing it forever, and then the newcomers. And throughout that time, like, I stuck to it. And everyone, like, if you talk to any of, like, the people who have been doing it for, like, longer than me, like, years, they'll be like, oh, if, like, a new person comes around, we're not gonna, like, try to be friends with them just because, like, they're gonna give it up immediately.
Yeah.
But I think I skipped that step just because they're like, oh, she's fucking committed.
Yeah.
So going from 2017 to pre-COVID, like right when COVID hit, the scene was actually blowing up a bunch. We had so many new people at all of the mics. Everything was going super well. We had the most rooms ever. We had like weekly mics, bi-monthly showcase it, like expanding. And then COVID hit and I was like super nervous coming back to it. And there was like a weird few months where it was just like, all right, we're doing this again. And then like the people who started before COVID started like coming back, and then newer people. So like the past, again, since COVID ended, watching, like, it came back hard. Like, I was really nervous that the scene was going to die, because when I started, it was way smaller.
Yeah.
And now, like, seeing the amount of new people in the contest this year, in the semis going on to the finals, like, it's insane.
Yeah.
Just, like, it's a good scene. It's a good scene to start off in.
Totally.
I'd say.
I agree.
It's a supportive scene, but it's also the very competitive. Like,
it is, yeah. I mean, it makes sense, though. You know what
I think it's because we're all friends at the end of the day. Like,
right, but we all have our egos, and like that's why we do it. You know what I mean? Like we shouldn't act like we don't. Like we all have it.
When there used to be like roast battles and shit.
Oh yeah.
We get fucking just casually, like on a Wednesday, you would just be like doing an open mic set regularly, and then someone that's against you possibly in the future, like 3 weeks down the line, they'd just be like,
say the meanest shit
you
to you ever. Yeah. Yeah, there was a conversation going back to, like, you know, when new people come around. That was a conversation I had with Bennett recently, where it was coming into the scene was really humbling for me in like the best way, because like I have been coming from like, you know, this music scene that I've existed in for a long time, where like everybody in that scene knows who I am, you know what I mean? And because I've been doing it for so long and been a part of it, like the promoters know who I am, the venue guys know who I am, all the other bands know who I am. So it's like, you know, when I walk into a place for a show, like everybody there already knows who I am, and like, you know, there's a mutual respect there already. So coming into and I mean, I think you could probably attest to this with comedy, is just like when you've been doing something for that long and that you know that respect is there, it's almost like you get used to it. You know what I mean? That you're like, oh yeah, people know who I am, people respect me because I've been doing this for a while, whatever. So like coming into comedy, not realizing that mindset has to go away, because I'm used to walking into any venue and having people know who I am immediately and whatever. I come in the comedy scene and it's like, oh yeah, nobody here knows who I am, nor do they give a shit who I am, like, at all. They're not interested in getting to know me. And that was a conversation I had with Bennett where he was like, well, dude, new people come and go all the time. So He's like, so like until you're there for a few months and you're going to mics like regularly for that long, like it's not gonna, people aren't gonna waste their time, because like it's so often that a newcomer will, you know, do mics for a couple weeks and then just like disappear and never come back.
But then once you get past that threshold, great.
Yeah, and then it's awesome. And I love it, and it's a scene I love being a part of, and I'm super excited to keep it going. And I'm bummed that you're leaving as soon as I'm just getting my foot in the door.
Someone has to take my place.
Oh, it's going to be me?
No.
Thank God. It's too much pressure. I'm not.
No, there's enough new people. Like, I don't know. I mean, like, 2 of us are now leaving, so
yeah,
it still doesn't affect anything.
Right.
But it'll be nice to have like another comedy buddy down there. Just because the move isn't for comedy, it's a perk.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
So what's the move for then? Just for a life change?
Yeah.
Just saying, fuck it, let's get a new...
I turned 25 in November, midlife crisis.
Let's do it. I love that quarter life crisis, by the way.
Mid.
For you?
Yeah.
All right. Well, then live it up.
I'm going to tap out at, I think, like 60, so...
Cool.
That's when someone can just shoot me. I don't care.
All right. You heard it here first, folks.
No,
legal.
people have already dibs who gets to kill
I bet.
me.
There's a line.
A lot of people want me
You
dead.
gotta sign up in the queue. Yeah. No, but that's cool.
If you subscribe to my Patreon, you can buy a $50 buy-in, and all of you can shoot me at the same time.
There we go. Firing squad.
Yeah.
That's the way to go.
And then my cat will be left with $300.
Yeah. Well, then part of that is someone has to take the cat.
No, she's just gonna go out in the world with a little satchel filled with $300.
Just get a little cat satchel.
Yeah.
Yeah, $300. I just like a note attached that's like,
Samany's
mother
cat,
was
leave me
murdered.
alone.
Yeah. Damn. Well, that's super sick, and I'm super stoked for you doing something that I would love to do.
I've never
if I
even been to
could.
Texas.
And you're straight up just moving there. I think that's sick. That's how it should be. You're going to learn so, especially 25 too. That's like a perfect age because 25 is like, when your brain is fully developed and you find like, for me, like 25 to 27 was a crazy time in my life, and it most likely probably contributes to the pandemic more than anything. But just like,
I'm also pissed about that.
Yeah.
I turned 21 and then 22 to 23.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah.
Snatched.
That is
Early
tough.
20s gone.
Yeah.
My fuck around and find out time gone.
Yeah.
So I'm just doing it in bulk right now.
Yeah, you should. As you should. I think anybody I've talked about that idea on the podcast before too, of just like, bro, if you turn 30 during the pandemic, you're still 29. Like time froze is what happened. So like keep living like
I'm not
you
going to
were.
use my older years.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a good mindset, I guess.
Just take them away from me. They don't
Sure.
matter.
All right. Well, live it to the fullest. I think, yeah. But anyway, what I was saying, for real, like genuinely, I think 25 is like a perfect age to like move away, because I think like that's a time that, 25 and 26 are just a very like pivotal age. And I think that's a good time to put yourself in a completely new spot and where you're going to be learning a bunch about yourself. And I think it's only going to do good things for you. So it'll be a good learning experience nonetheless, even if everything goes to shit. So.
Yeah. No, even my friends that love me, that are like just shitting on me moving, being like, it's going to suck, you're going to move back and like, okay, and?
Right, at least you did it.
Nothing changes.
Who cares?
Literally nothing changes. Yeah. It's for the life experience.
And you get 2 good road trips out of it.
Yeah. Well, if I sell my car down there, we'll see.
Yeah.
It just might be a plane ride back with me and my cat.
They got good public transport down there?
Yeah.
I don't believe that for some reason.
I don't either.
It's Texas, yeah.
Well, I live close enough to downtown, like right in between downtown and the Domain.
They got trains and shit? No idea?
Never been there.
You just haven't looked in that. That would be the first thing I would look into, is public transportation. But that's just me.
Well, I have a car.
That's fair.
I'm going to sell my car for either a moped or a motorcycle.
There you go.
Then,
oh, yeah, we were talking about that. We'll
yeah.
have to get you a good bike.
And then I'm just going to be scooting around.
Yeah.
Going to work, going home, going to soccer practice. I don't know.
Sick. Well, I think one of the tours I'm going on comes through Austin, so I will. I'll be seeing you when I'm there for sure.
I'm mostly excited for the first 2 days when I get down there. Just renting a U-Haul, hitting up Marketplace, and trying to furnish this place.
Yo, fuck yeah, dude, that's so sick. I would love to do that. That's like the best idea ever.
My budget. So I already spent $200 for a mattress. But then past that, it's like,
that's the one thing you should spend money on. You should not buy a used one. Or was that a used one?
Okay. The couple that lives there, they don't want to move the mattress.
Oh, okay.
But they pulled so I bought my mattress during COVID, but it's a full. I bought a Nectar mattress full. I think it was like $750.
Yeah,
I'm selling it to my roommate for $300.
Jesus.
Honestly, like, I should sell it to her for $5.
Yeah, okay.
With the mileage I put on it. Like, don't ring it out.
Okay, Sam.
But so I bought this queen size mattress for $200 and sold my full size mattress for $300.
There you go.
But they got theirs a year and a half ago. I got mine a year and a half ago.
Yeah. All right.
So I'm making a profit on the mattress at least.
Okay.
But it's also like an IKEA mattress. I don't know anything about those.
I don't know much about IKEA, but I feel like I trust IKEA. I feel like IKEA is like...
I will
feel like
actually
rich people talk about IKEA, so that makes me think that it's good.
Everyone's like, wherever you go, there you are. I'll have an IKEA down the street from me.
That's sick.
So
if all else fails,
yeah,
you got IKEA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm pumped about that.
Hell yeah.
But I'm going to abuse Marketplace. I'm going to be a menace. I'm going to spam message people. Like
environmentally friendly to do that too.
I need your couch. I need your shelf. I need your desk.
Yeah.
I need your rug.
Way to be anti-Amazon. Buying secondhand.
I hate Amazon.
You're the worst.
I hate Amazon. Yeah, no, I try because I tried being vegan for a little bit. I I try to just like do things where I like don't feel guilty all of the time.
We're similar in that. That's why. So my two goals, so I started being vegan in November, and it was literally just to try it. And then when New Year's came, I'm not usually a New Year's resolution guy, but I was like, it could be a fun thing to like start something new, right? So I was like, I'm gonna be vegan I'm gonna keep being vegan for this year, and I'm going to not buy any new clothes. I'm only gonna buy secondhand.
Yep.
So only thrifting or like consignment shops, whatever. And it's August. And I've been vegan the whole time, and I've only bought secondhand clothes. So,
I was vegetarian for a year. I did vegan for 6 months, and then I went back to vegetarian. And
are you still vegetarian?
No.
Okay, good.
Well, 3 years total with like a 6-month vegan stint in the middle somewhere.
Sure.
And then, I was just like, all right. I just won't be a piece of shit, I guess. I don't drink normal milk. I'm an oat milk drinker.
There you go. That's something. I think for the most part you avoid dairy and red meat.
I still buy, like, if I go grocery shopping, it still looks like a vegetarian's cart. Like, I don't buy, like, I use, like, the meat substitutes still.
Yeah, you're doing fine.
Because when I, like, learned how to cook, I was, like, learning with those products. Like,
yeah. Did you see that Cracker Barrel just announced that they are getting Beyond Meat sausage on their menu? And now people in, like, the middle of fucking nowhere are boycotting Cracker Barrel. Isn't that insane?
It's just a single menu. Like
they just added Beyond Meat sausage as an option on their menu, and people are boycotting Cracker Barrel, like in like the South.
I love people.
Isn't that fucking crazy? It's so funny. I love that shit. People are nuts. It makes no sense. Why are you mad?
Whenever you say whenever I hear a sentence like that, it just like sends me out of body orbiting. Like, what are we doing here?
Right, exactly. And that's the whole thing is like, oh, I'm going to be vegan and I'm going to, buy things secondhand and I'm going to do things a healthy environment. And then there's like a huge portion of the country that's like, we're boycotting Cracker Barrel because they wanted one vegetarian option on the menu. And it's like, why am I trying? What am I doing this for? And that's kind of the thing that I've gotten to recently of like, when I started this idea, it was like, I want to try to help or whatever. And then I watched the George Carlin documentary and I'm like, dude, this guy was saying this shit 30 years ago and this shit's only gotten worse. And so I kind of mentally have just entered a bit of a Carlin era of being like, just let it all fucking burn, dude. Who cares?
That's where I'm at. I'm just going to have fun.
And I think that's fine.
I do like oat milk.
Yeah. Honestly, the reason
the world's on fire.
Yeah.
As long as I can get my own milk.
Yeah. The real reason I'm keeping the vegan thing going is just it makes me. I feel really good. Like digestionally, like I just feel great.
Aside from that, like you have to track everything you eat.
Yeah.
Like that was the best diet I was ever on because I tracked every meal, making sure what I was eating was like good for the environment.
Mm-hmm. I've also been cooking like more than I ever have in my life. It's been so fun to get into
you
that.
learn so much. Just new recipes, even like. Well, I mean, like vegetarian's kind of like easier to cook for, but like going straight vegan, like learning new recipes, that was a ton of fun, and that's where I got like my foundation for cooking. So when I dropped that, cooking still like more opportunities, but I still find myself falling back on the basics of what I learned. So I still just cook like vegan, vegetarian meals because it's what I'm familiar with.
Sure.
But yeah, anytime I go grocery shopping, you won't find a single piece of meat in my fucking cart because it's just what I'm used to buying.
Yeah.
But if I go out, it's just
right. That makes sense. I mean, that's like
It's a big
I think
food
is referred
city here.
to right. I think that's referred to as the plant-forward diet.
Yeah.
Where it's like you mostly eat vegan, vegetarian, but like you'll indulge every once in a while.
Even when I
think,
want to like make normal food, I still I just go into Wegmans and I'm just like muscle memory, like, all right, this is where we buy the substitute cheese and meat.
Yeah. Well, that's the best part of vegan grocery shopping is Wegmans just has one section and it's like, oh, here's everything. Here's where like 95% of my cart is from is this one section, which I love. Which apparently there are plans to expand that this year. Wegmans is like very focused on like growing the vegan vegetarian.
Oh, I'm so excited. I won't be here. Never mind.
Yeah.
I'm not excited.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
It's okay. Everything's fine.
I'll be in Texas.
Yeah. At least you can get into guess you can't, huh?
No.
Yeah, didn't think about that. At least you could smoke weed.
No.
Can't do that either.
I'm just gonna be the gayest cowboy on my moped with a gun.
There's no income tax.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
It's gonna save me $1,000 a year.
Sure, but also because of that, their infrastructure is terrible in most parts of Texas. But I'm sure Austin is better than most.
Their energy grid can't support the fact that it's 120 most days and everyone's using their AC.
Yeah.
I'll be super tan and I'll get a southern accent.
Ye fucking haw.
But yeah, no, that's my plan. Get a moped, get a gun.
That's
ride down the street. They're like, there's another one of those bisexuals.
Yeah.
And then I'll just start blasting.
Yeah. I think it's funny that like you use the southern accent, but you still use bisexual. Like they're gonna say that instead of.
It's another one of those queers. Whatever.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I feel like Texas has progressed. They're now.
Well, they are. What is funny is like they're
accurately identifying people to shun them.
Yeah. They also like got very close to flipping blue in the 2020 election. Like it was real close.
So actually, I'm an industry plant. I'm moving down there just to vote blue.
Whoa.
I'm getting there just in time for the election.
There you go. But yeah, I was gonna say the governor race is also looking very close there too between Greg Abbott and Beto. Is that who it is? Beto O'Rourke?
Yep.
Yeah, he's been looking good. I'm not like a huge fan of him, but like for Texas, he's fucking amazing. You know, when he was running for president, I didn't love him, but like, I think for Texas, it'll be dope. So, yeah, you can contribute to that. I guess that's something. That was my thing. I was considering moving to Nashville for a while. And I was like, I don't want to fucking move to Tennessee though. But I was like, but I can like contribute to like helping it be a more progressive place. So I guess that's something.
You know, my whole family like left the state a few years ago. Grandparents moved to one of the Carolinas.
Yeah.
The rest of the family moved to Tennessee.
Yeah.
And so I'm the alt gay cousin of the family.
And
super
going to Texas.
Yeah, progressive. Yeah. And that's like the funny thing is like when I talk to them, they think I'm going to be like completely opposite of everything they say.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know how long you've been like paying attention to politics, but it's like after a while you get this shit beat out of you and you're like, we're not too far off from each other.
1,000%. Yeah.
It's just like.
It's just the language you use. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like leave us alone and you can do what you want. It's like we're so close to having common ground, but the way the politicians dress everything up, it's like
exactly. Well,
teachers are making their kids trans.
Right.
It's like
nobody's doing that. Yeah, no, there's a whole like culture war.
It's so frustrating to watch.
Yeah.
Because
well, I mean, what's crazy is like all of them are so out of touch. Like even on the left, they're so out of touch because they're still rich. You know what I mean? What the whole thing is, it comes down to class. And that was like the whole thing is like, not to go down like this entire rabbit hole, but like divide, like as long as you have the lower class divided, like they're fine. Like they don't care. Because anytime the like working class has become united, they've been terrified. And that's when like this FBI goes and like kills people who are like leading these movements. Yeah. But they create these culture wars to keep the working class divided. But like, what it comes down to is like, no, we're all pretty much the same. We're all getting fucked the same way. Some of us are just convinced it's other ways.
Society won't be fully healed until bumper stickers no longer exist.
That's a good take.
That is.
I respect that. I've only had one bumper sticker in my life, and it was Bernie 2016. You as well? Let's go.
I was told I couldn't park in the driveway for Thanksgiving night.
Really? That's crazy. Yeah, I do have some family that is like that. What's funny is I'm making because my family's gigantic, and so every time I bring up to my girlfriend anything about like a family member, she's like, I don't know who that is. Your family's too fucking big. I can't keep up. So we're going down to Hilton Head, and she's coming with us, and I'm working on a PowerPoint right now of like my entire family, but I'm doing it as like almost like a comedy routine of like who's who, and I have like their political affiliation, but just like, so like I have one aunt that I was like Fox News Republican, 2 fucking Facebook posts away from QAnon, would have been an insurrectionist if she didn't have to work the next day, kind of thing. So, yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, my mom's side of the family is small. I'm not really involved with them, but my dad's side, like,
yeah,
they're not all like super right leaning.
Right.
It blows my mind, like the generational.
Yeah.
Like my great grandma, who is still alive, she's like 90 at this point.
Killing it.
She hated Trump.
Yeah.
Grandma loved Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I don't want to vote for either of these candidates.
I'm with it, yeah. Yeah, what's so funny is every time I talk to anybody in my family, I've gotten so good at it, and I think it's like a blessing in disguise that my family is the way they are, and I am so like gung-ho on like convincing them that they're wrong, that like I've like come down to like a way of talking to them that's like, oh, just if you just avoid all the buzzwords and the culture war bullshit and just say like about these things that are going on, like they'll all agree with you. And like it is crazy like how much like I talk to like my grandparents or like my any of my aunt, like my uncle who's like a contractor, I'll start saying some shit to him and like explaining like, well, this is how it is right now, and this and this, and how it should be is this and this and this. He's like, yeah, you're right. And I'm like, well, I just fucking described socialism, bro, so like now what, you fucking thin blue line t-shirt motherfucker. Okay. So
I was always the liberal one of the family,
yeah.
But then after we got past labels, I was just like, can we just have
a conversation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we just?
That is the thing. I got thrown into that. Yeah.
Because even like with that, it's like I don't.
A soy boy libtard beta cuck. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just annoying. It's like, why are we being thrown into groups just because we...
And it's so funny, too, how they're, like, assume because, like, I don't like Trump that I am, like, this Joe Biden loving, MSNBC watching, like, bleeding heart liberal. And I'm like, no, I hate all that, too, actually. Yeah.
Can't we all just recognize...
Right. Bernie was, like, the one politician I ever was passionate for.
Yep.
And he was, like, the bare minimum. Like, he was the bar of where it should be set. And all of you think he's like this crazy far left guy. And he's not at all.
He's like, we should just take care of our people and let them do what they want to do.
And like, he's a fascist. It's like, no, you don't know what any of these things mean. So.
Yeah, no, that's also a fun part of everyday living.
Yeah.
At the end times.
The times. I was just talking about this on the last episode with my friend Christine of just like how fucked things are. And it's like, you just gotta just accept it at this point. It's just like, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. Fight the good fight while I can.
Get a motorcycle. If I have to sell out, I'll take my septum piercing out.
There you go. Yeah. We gotta do what we gotta do. It's my thing. If there was any sort of like safety net that existed in society for like, as far as like healthcare and all of these other
I won't
aspects.
even look. So I've had to go to the hospital like 3 times in the past year. Those medical bills don't exist to me.
They don't have to. You don't have to do anything with those.
I'm aware. Yeah. And everyone's like, so I'm like, ignore them. Yep. They don't exist.
Doesn't matter. But if those things existed of like healthcare, education, all these things, like student loan forgiveness, all of those things did exist, like I would quit my job fucking tomorrow. But it's just like, that's what's keeping me there. You know what I mean? And like, my job's all right, stable. I don't hate my coworkers. Work is fine, like I get paid decent money, but it's just like, there's still something about it that I'm just like, I have to clock in at fucking 8:30 a.m. every day, Monday through Friday. And that is just like the most fucking painful shit for me to do.
If I don't make it doing anything else or marrying rich, I will die in the service industry.
There you go.
I can't do early mornings.
Yeah, I do. The part of me does really miss the service industry. I mean, when I left this service industry and just learned that I would be having the same shift every day, I was like, that's fucking amazing. Like, because I came from like, I was always like the extra guy everywhere. I never got like a chance to be like a solidified member of any like bar that I worked at. I was just like, this bar would, you know, they're like, well, we need a server really. And they're like, but we'll have you bartend one night a week. And it's like, all right. And then it's like, then I will get in. I'm like, well, this job's offering me 2 nights a week. So I'll do 2 nights a week at this place and 1 night like this. So I was always like, just like the extra guy everywhere I went. And it just was like, you know, for the idea of just having to only work one job and having the 5 same hours every day was like, oh, that seems amazing. And now I've been doing it for 4 years and I'm like, ugh. Like, I miss having fucking just a random Wednesday off. There's nothing better than just that random, like, weekday off where you can just, like, go do shit and there's, like, nobody around. It's the best.
This is the longest I've gone without a second job. I quit my last job probably 2 months ago at this point. But prior to that, every free hour I had, because Helium just runs, like, 4 to close. Yeah. So I tried to, like, have day shifts. So I always had, like, a second job somewhere, and it was just the most draining, fucking not worth my time at all. Man. Yeah. But I would only take jobs at places, like, where it seemed profitable. Like, it wasn't going to be a waste of time. And then even for, like, a $200, like, day shift, it was just, like, oh, I woke up at 9 a.m. to be here for 10 to 4, go to my other job. And at the same time, it's like, how much do I value my free time, realistically? Like, I don't want to... I mean, that's where the service industry is cool. Like, if you're in a pinch, you need to do that, whatever. Yeah. But at the same time, like, after a while, working, like, the same... Which I also learned, like, how much of a cult the Buffalo service industry is that I was working with the same people at every fucking place I went to. Where I'm just like, oh, you again? What's up? Like, like, what are we doing here? It's 2 p.m., there's been 5 people in this place. Like, I don't know. It was like a weird phase of just trying to be like, yeah, this is what I have to do. And then after a while being like, oh, no, if you just stick with one place for a while, it pays off. But other than that, like, the service industry is very hit or miss and not great. Yeah, I do. I mean, my, like, whole thing was, like, my ideal life is to, like, if I could just, like, completely get out of debt and have healthcare taken care of. Which is so crazy that it's just like we live in the only developed country that like that doesn't exist in. But if those 2 things were taken care of, I would literally just tour and bartend. Like, I would just tour, and when I come home from tour, I would bartend or be a barista somewhere. Like, that's all I want out of life, dude. Like, and it's crazy that I can't have that. Like, bartending, serving, I don't hate it, but like I always try to like have that conversation like, oh, if I worked like a 9 to 5. Yeah. But then it's like... Grass is always greener. Yeah. Yeah. I could never have an office job. I'm not a big people person despite working with them directly. Because I can do that. Most people are very cool. Right. If you have to deal with like a shithead, it's just like, all right, whatever, part of the job. Yeah, but that's like in every job. And then it's like, and it's also like... The thing in the service industry that's different though is like when you deal with a shithead, it's like, oh, I only have to deal with you for the next hour. You know what I mean? Where it's like in a 9 to 5, it's like, oh, I sit next to you every day. You know, but that's one thing people like in the service industry like hate. They're like, oh, I'm like missing out on weekends, like late nights. And it's like you're still doing the same thing you would be doing at work. Like it's so realistically, yeah, no, I get to sleep in. I get to just talk to people. That's my favorite thing too. Is just like feeling out a table when I speak to them, like, are you cool or are you going to hate me? Yeah. Yeah. It is fun. I don't know. I could never do a 9 to 5. I don't think. Yeah. If you ever put me back in that environment, because I used to work like 7 to 7s when I worked at the nursing home. I would do 7 to 7, 4 days a week, and it would just be like, no, I'm good on this. You want me to wake up at 6 in the morning? Yeah, I never want to do that ever. And it's great. So it's been like 5 years since I worked there, obviously. But now looking at like the cost of living and shit, I was getting paid $12 an hour to be a kitchen manager for a 300-bed rehab facility. And now I'm like making stupid money, like twice that. Like running a comedy club. Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
But that's also sick, and it's gotten you in a really good place. And now, what are you going to be doing at the new club? Just serving?
I'm going to start with bartending. There's possible movement for management.
Oh, sick.
But I don't want to be the new kid on the street that's just suddenly in charge of people. So I do want to like feel it out and just have like the free time. So just bartend whatever days a week for a few weeks, get a feel for just living there in general and for my coworkers before I like have to like step up and be like, all right, can you do this?
Right.
Like
right.
I hate that. I hate being a manager.
Yeah.
I'm lucky
I've never done it, but I would imagine it's not very fun.
I'm lucky like where I'm at in Helium now, like I work with all of my friends, so it's not like a big deal if I do have to like speak up and be like, hey, can you do this thing?
Mm-hmm.
Like it still feels weird, like I'm bossing around my friends, but going to like a separate place that I've never been and suddenly like, who's this toddler speaking to telling me to do like right. I don't like being that guy.
Yeah, I feel that. That's respectable. Well, I mean, that's sick that you are doing what you're doing. I commend you for it, for taking a fucking awesome risk and getting some life experience on it and finding a job like that quickly. So I think it'll be dope, and I hope it all works out for you.
I lucked out that conveniently where I wanted to move is where Helium owns a club now. Yeah,
I know. I think about that like because my job is like they have locations everywhere, so I look at it all the time. They're never in anywhere. That's super cool though. It's like, ooh, Irvine, California.
Initially, when I did start moving up for management, they wanted me to move to Philly. But, like, my whole mindset is, like, I don't want to move somewhere and experience winter ever again.
That's fair. Yeah, if you're going to move somewhere, move somewhere
winter
warm.
are mortal enemies.
Yeah.
I don't want to move somewhere else.
Yeah, so move to Austin in the middle of August. Yeah.
It's going to be real. My apartment's on the 3rd floor.
Is there a central area? There has to be, right?
100%.
Yeah, I feel like it's like a law there.
Yeah, so I have AC, obviously. I have a pool in my backyard.
Sick.
But my apartment's on the 3rd floor, so moving furniture in there at the end of August with still 100-degree weather is going to be super fun.
Hopefully the whole building is air conditioned.
It's out. It's like outdoors.
So one of those.
The walk-up is outdoors.
Yeah.
So.
Well, good luck. You only got to do it once until you move out. So
I'm just never going to move ever again.
There you go. Well, then I'll see you in Austin.
See you later.
Cool. Sam, thanks for coming on. I'll put your social media handles in the bio of this episode. And everybody listening, look out for Sam's comedy career to take off. She'll be on Joe Rogan within a year.
I don't want to be on it.
I know. I'm just kidding. That was a joke. See you later.
Bye.